Julia was about to marry Mr. Wrong.
That's grade A, top choice meat.
But it's not over.
Relax.
Till the wedding singer sings.
You're the wedding singer.
How you doing? I'm Robbie.
I'm Julia. Robbie, you're so cute.
Adam Sandler.
Fool.
Drew Barrymore. The wedding singer.
Uh-oh. You like her? No, I don't. I think I'm in love with her.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, February 13th.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome. As always, my co-host is Brian. Tonight, we are going to be reviewing The Wedding Singer from 1998. And make sure that you like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Please click the bell icon for notifications. Leave a 4 or 5-star review on Apple and Spotify to get those algorithms going. As mentioned a minute ago, we are going to be continuing our discussion of Adam Sandler throughout the month of July. We are going to be discussing probably one of his better comedies, I would say. Also, his first collaboration with Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler have gone on to have quite a bit of success together, made a number of movies together. This was their first one. And Brian, all I could say, this movie, I think, is probably underrated, and this is a great run, I would say, for Adam Sandler. Like, you go back to the late '90s, the Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer. Like, you look at that, and Waterboy. Like, you look at that run. It's very, very cool just to see how it all develops, and I think this movie is really good. And the chemistry between Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore is very real. And I just had a really good time with this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say underrated. I would say more under the radar because it comes out the same year as Waterboy. And Waterboy did twice as much money as this movie, even though this movie outgrossed Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. So up to this point, he kept growing and growing in terms of the box office. And then Waterboy put him over the top. So that's kind of why I think Waterboy kind of is remembered more so, only because they came out a few months apart. Um, I remember watching Waterboy in theaters, and I didn't see, Wedding Singer until later on VHS. So, that kind of shows you, like, in terms of, like, the popularity, how this can kind of slip under the radar. But I think in terms of, like, a Broadway kind of, like, way, it's become a Broadway musical hit. It's pretty popular with, like, those, like, arts and theater kind of people in high school and college, that kind of thing. So it's kind of found its audience in a different kind of way. Not in the traditional Adam Sandler kind of raunchy way where you see all these raunchy movies on TV, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, all those kind of things. Mr. Deeds, like, it's very different. Like, whenever this is on, this is usually on during like a romantic comedy kind of marathon kind of thing or something like that on TBS or something, and there's always kind of like a tie into it. It's a great romantic comedy. It's one of the all-time greats, I think. It kind of fits the time frame of like a 1950s, 1960s Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn type feel to it, right? You could take the 80s out, replace it with that whatever time period, it becomes a kind of like a timeless kind of tale because they don't heavily, I mean, yes, they rely on the nostalgia for like the music and stuff, but when he gets to the heart of it, it's really like the writing and the chemistry, which really is the basis in the background of a good rom-com.
Absolutely. You mentioned the success of both The Waterboy and Wedding Singer. It is worth pointing out, and again, this is something that I think we also addressed a little bit last week. You're talking about a situation where this is a movie that is budgeted at $18 million. So when it makes $123 million, that is pure profits. And you also have to consider, again, the second life on VHS and DVD as well. That is such a huge difference from from now. Like, now there is no second life. There is for streaming, but the value of streaming is so much less than the value of getting something on DVD, I would say. And I think we and not to mention the theatrical experience, it just feels like so many of these movies have these excessive budgets. And you look at a movie like this, and again, it's $18 million, and you're talking about an Adam Sandler, who is he's not the biggest star. Like, he's not at that level where he's making $20 million every movie, but he is certainly not. He's not at the lowest level either. And again, when you modestly budget something like this, it's going to make, or the odds of it making money are much improved. And again, I think Drew Barrymore has been a very good collaborator, and I think that the fact that they have been able to create kind of movie magic on two other occasions really helps. I don't think the 51st Dates is nearly as good as this movie, and I have not seen Blended, but I think what makes this movie work is that there's a lot of innocence to it as well that you don't get in a lot of other Adam Sandler movies necessarily. And look, Adam Sandler, he is not as raunchy as I think people think he is. I think there is a perception of raunchiness, and I don't think, I mean, it's not that it's not there, but I don't think it's as there as much as people say that it is. You definitely get it. Like, to me, a movie like Dirty Work or even like Tommy Boy, those two movies are much raunchier to me than a lot of Adam Sandler movies are. And I think part of what is so exciting about this movie is that while it is a comedy, it really does emphasize the romantic element. And I really think that that is something that, gets lost so often, but I think is definitely a huge part of why this movie is successful. And I do believe that this is a movie that doesn't work unless Drew Barrymore is in it and unless Drew Barrymore gets a lot of agency. I just don't think this movie works nearly as well. I just don't. And I think that's where the magic comes in. Is just that it's not just, and yes, this is Adam Sandler month, but this is not just an Adam Sandler movie. This is something that very much feels like it doesn't work unless you have both Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore um, playing their roles well.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of credit to Carrie Fisher here. This is where this is kind of this new revelation that is news to me. I don't know if it's news to you, but Carrie Fisher being a script doctor in Hollywood in the in the 80s and 90s makes a hell of a lot of sense, considering that she's got experience in her past with her mom being in show business, having to work with George Lucas on three different films and helping with the dialogue in those films. So it makes all the sense in the world. You have this female voice come in and kind of fix the script, so to speak. It's less of the Adam Sandler vibe from the first two, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore films. This is more central to the relationship between the two and more on Drew Barrymore's character. And it just feels like the other two movies, you don't get that kind of feeling with the female characters, and it's just there for Adam Sandler to win the prize, so to speak. But in this case, she's her own character that's fully fleshed out, and it's clear that someone came in because if you see the writing credits, it's a single writer for a male, but it's clear that like someone came in and did the whole Deborah Hill thing to Halloween and did it with the script here because the female dialogue is like right on point, and it just feels like Drew Barrymore nails this role completely. It's one of my favorites of hers, and I haven't seen so much of her work, but just this role sticks out so much to me with the haircut and her naivete and her innocence and the fact that she just wants to marry the right guy and gets confused. It's all real emotions, and she's like showing all of her range of emotions in this movie from like the highs and the lows and stuff like that. And Adam Sandler's matching that energy, and he's not going over the top. The only time he goes over the top is really when he's like having a nervous breakdown or a mental breakdown because his girlfriend leaves him at the altar, which is totally like I think totally acceptable to be honest. So it's not Adam Sandler just doing craziness and yelling at people and getting into fights with people. He's just a really innocent dude that had a really bad day, and Drew Barrymore was there to pick up the pieces, and then just they fell in the right place with each other.
I mean, the impression that you get is they were kind of in the friend zone. Like, if you were to see what was going on before the movie, like it's very clear that they knew each other, and I think that's also kind of refreshing. Like, this isn't something that just evolves over 90 minutes. Like, you get a full sense of their relationship. And I also have to give a lot of credit to Matthew Glave, who is kind of a that guy actor. He plays Glenn, and Julia Drew Barrymore's fiance. I think he does a really good job just contrasting with Adam Sandler. And again, like he's playing a thankless role that like you're just the other guy, like you're just kind of a goofball who is like a horny goofball, no less. And I think he does as good of a job as you can with that kind of role. And I give him a lot of credit. I guess I was reading that the director, Frank Karachi, wanted to cast Christopher McDonald as Glenn, and that would not have worked at all. Like, and I get the temptation to put Adam Sandler and Christopher McDonald in a movie together, but the dynamic of the wedding singer is so much different than Happy Gilmore. Christopher McDonald being in this movie would have probably broken it in some ways. And I think the casting in No Name in this role is actually the right decision. And furthermore, not casting somebody funny also, I think helps. Like, they considered Ben Stiller and David Spade, and just I think the dynamic just changes and it becomes much more of a I think it becomes more comedic, and I think you sacrifice something. I think casting somebody who is not a pure comedian, I think enhances the part, and I think it really makes the movie feel different. And again, I think differentiating it from other Adam Sandler movies, to me, that feels like one of the important elements is that we're not doing something that is close to Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore. We are doing this romantic comedy, and I mean, look, the stakes of an Adam Sandler movie are always relatively low, with the exception of the movie that we're going to talk about next week. But they are heightened a little bit. This is not just about kind of Adam Sandler, saving his grandmother's house, or trying to save his father's company. I would argue that finding love is kind of a bigger deal for a movie like this. So yeah, it's just really really interesting to me how successful this movie is artistically, because again, Adam Sandler was very much like The Waterboy is almost completely different from this, and that comes out later this year.
It also feels like they fleshed out all the characters out really well. Even the side characters even have like these weird arcs to them. Like you don't expect the old grandma lady that he's tutoring to actually have an arc by the end of the movie and actually like sing in front of her husband the whole time. Like she was like practicing to sing for her husband, and that was the whole point of it. And we actually get to see it. We see like his friend kind of get the love from the other friend. You know what I mean? Like someone, like everyone gets their arc basically, and it's kind of weird how that happens. Like usually a lot of these side characters in these movies just get forgotten, or they just have throwaway lines or something like that. But they went out and fleshed out all these different arcs for these characters, and everyone has a successful moment. Even like a Steve Buscemi, who's just a drunk at the beginning of the movie. At the end of the movie, he's singing for Adam Sandler. So there's the arc right
Yeah,
there. And I gotta say that Alexis Arquette, or is it Alexis Arquette? Which Arquette? I'm sorry, I mix up the Arquette names. Uh,
Alexis Arquette.
LA's Alexis Arquette. She did a tremendous job as this like Boy George wannabe, but I think you can do it in so many different ways. You can do it as like making fun of Boy George. You can cast a completely ugly dude for that role just to even make fun of even more. But they treated it with sincerity, right? Like it almost feels like they were paying tribute to Boy George and paying homage to him as opposed to like making fun of him, which a lot of there have been a lot of people that have done that in writing and comedy, right? Like it's easy to just target a guy like Boy George to do that. And in this case, they really went sincere with it. And at the end of the movie, she kind of like, it doesn't, she's still in the band or whatever, but she's like finally accepted. Like I think the whole arc for her was her getting rejected by the everyone's singing her song, and by the end of the movie, she's kind of accepted for singing her song. So that was really cool. And then of course, I think Billy Idol's cameo was tremendous because he still looked good in '98. Like, this is a 13-year gap between the actual time period. So he's supposed to be in '85 and he still looks good. So I got to credit to him for probably all the drugs he's done and all the drinking. He still looked good. And he really executed his lines well. And he almost wanted to see him more in movies, but I guess he never really wanted to. But he was just honored to be in the movie because I guess, at the time his kids were fans of Adam Sandler. Makes total sense. And then Jerome, this is the first time you've ever heard the song "Getting Old with You." I'm kind of curious as your thoughts, and like, does it
I
compare to
mean,
the Chris Farley song?
there's the cliche about ending in the airport, right? Like that's a romantic comedy cliche, and this time you ended on a plane, and I think it works out extremely well. I think it is a very well done and emotionally appropriate ending. So I really appreciate the fact that they. I mean, again, it is a cliche, but I think it actually still kind of works too. Like just because it's a cliche doesn't always mean it's bad, especially if you do it well. And I think the song is appropriate, and I think it does a good job of kind of getting over the idea that these two are going to end the movie in a romantic partnership. So that's really cool. I think this movie is a surprise to me just because of how well it works for the entirety of its runtime. Like I never felt like the movie was too long or too short. I really do think that there is a magic to having a movie that's 95 minutes. And that's what I think Adam Sandler does really well. And like that's part of my concern with Happy Gilmore 2 is that this movie going to be is it going to be like an hour and 55 minutes? Is it going to be 2 hours? Because I don't think that's a good thing. I think Adam Sandler's wheelhouse is these movies that are 90 minutes. And I think that's the magic of these first 2 weeks that we've discussed. And part of the reason that I think these movies are good is because they are appropriately paced.
Absolutely. It's hour and 35 minutes. I got really lucky when I used the Tubi app. This was on Tubi when when I watched it. Somehow it had no commercials. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I pressed, and I was waiting and I was waiting and I was waiting and
I
it
hope
never.
you bought a lottery ticket that day too.
No, it's so weird. When does that ever happen that you watch a movie on Tubi and you get no ads? I don't know what happened, but I was in shock. And I know this sounds like it's a crazy person talking, but it happened, folks. As I sat there for like 90 minutes straight because this movie's a quick watch, and I'm just waiting and waiting, and no commercials happen. So God bless on that part. But yeah, this is a great pickup if you ever collect CD, soundtracks. It's 2 volumes because they get a lot of hits in this soundtrack, and it's a lot of bangers, a lot of hit songs. I love the soundtrack so much. It's no wonder that they transferred this into a musical on Broadway, successful.
Yep.
From what I read, it got nominated for a bunch of Tonys, but it didn't win. I guess I don't know if that's a I don't know if it was a competition thing or they're just an anti-Adam Sandler thing or whatever, but I'm glad that Adam Sandler and the writer of this movie gets a cut of it. They deserve it a lot. And yeah, I just think that this was a great watch, and I just loved every minute of it. It's one of my mom's favorite movies, and it's an Adam Sandler movie, so that tells you a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see this movie appealing much more to female audiences than a lot of other Adam Sandler movies, just because it is less boyish in its traits. So, like, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think part of what makes this movie work, as you mentioned, is bringing on these other characters. And I do want to point out that Alexis Arquette, it's pretty rare that you see a transgender character in a mainstream movie like this and not necessarily have him be called out specifically. And I think that's a tribute to the movie. I give it a lot of credit for her being there and just existing in the world. We need more of that, I would say. And it is also unfortunate that she passed away about 9 years ago, almost exactly 9 years ago at this point. She contracted HIV in 1987 and lived about 20 years, which is not no small feat, especially being diagnosed in 1987. It's not a situation where she was diagnosed even a few years later, like Magic Johnson's still with us. So yeah, just great to see her and great to see again some of the other characters. Adam Sandler always brings in um, SNL alumni that feels like he will use bigger and smaller roles for a lot of these characters, and I think John Lovitz. I think this is where John Lovitz is probably at his best. Quite honestly, is by having him be just kind of in the what is a borderline cameo. He's in the movie for 2 to 3 minutes and that's it. And
I think
I
this is
think
gonna
that
sound
is
crazy, but I think he plays the same character in Little Nicky, and I think because I think he's singing the song that plays Little Nicky when he goes to hell. I could be wrong on that. I got to double check that, but because when I watched this, I was like, this feels like he's the same asshole that's staring at the mom in the tree in Little Nicky. I got to look it up, but it just feels like it's the same person. It wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, I mean that is absolutely the case and certainly very possible. But yeah, and you have so many great pieces of the soundtrack as well. This is again the first collaboration between Frank Garachi and Adam Sandler. They would have a number of other collaborations as well, and I think that they have certainly made done very good business together. I'm not sure if they've always necessarily made the best movies after this, but just in terms of what they were able to do with this movie, obviously a ton of success. And Brian, I will remind you that this movie opened in second place when it opened in February of 1998. And what movie did it lose to?
My guess would be Titanic.
Yep, it was Titanic. Titanic on a
God, yeah, that
historic
was
run.
still on this. Was it 16 weeks? I forget. It's
It
not
was
83
it was
weeks.
very long. And it's funny because there was a week that it tied, and it tied with The Man in the Iron Mask, which of course was another Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Do you remember what movie beat it?
I don't know, but I did see Man of the Iron Mask in this new open theater in Winnetka at the time, which is now closed. But I do remember Titanic at the same time because we went and watched the end of Titanic after we watched Man of the Iron
That's
Mask
funny.
because no one was watching and paying attention. We snuck in the sub. I mean, who's gonna care? It's the last hour of Titanic. Go in.
I mean, that's. I mean, that's. I mean, I think the movie is very good, but like if you're not into the romantic stuff, like certainly the last hours when you come in. The movie that beat Titanic at the box office was the rebooted Lost in Space.
Wow, and that movie gets no love nowadays. I think the Netflix show took a lot of that credibility of what was left.
I mean, Lost in Space did not do very well financially. It's funny that it was number one at the box office because I don't know if it was the last time you saw that movie, but it directly sets up a sequel, absolutely, and future movies. And of course, we never got one that was the same. So yeah, that is fun. That is really fun. That Lost in Space, of all things, is what beat Titanic. And you remember who one of the stars of that movie was, right?
It's Joey from Friends and William Hurt. That's all I remember.
You have Gary Oldman, William Hurt, Matt LeBlanc, Mimi Rogers, Heather Graham, and Lacey Chabert.
That's a
That
hell of
is
a cast to get for a
quite
good
a
budget.
crew.
Yeah,
I
a
mean, this
budgeted
movie had.
cast.
I mean, Brian, this movie had an $80 million budget in 1998. So
I
that should
know.
tell you a lot. I
And the
mean, that
colors
is
suck. The colors suck, dude.
the
I
movie
hate
is
the
not very.
colors.
The movie is not very. It's
Folks,
the
it's just
best.
all black and silver and metallic, and it was leaning towards the Matrix age of stuff. And yeah, you know me and leather and the X-Men, and I want my colors. So
I mean,
there you go.
listen, when you hire the director of A Nightmare on Elm Street 5 and Predator 2, what do you expect?
At least Predator 2 had good colors because it was LA in the future and doing that Jamaican stuff, man, and voodoo magic, man. Yeah, that's my Predator 2 quote
See,
right there. But
I can't do that. I can't get away with that. What you just did there.
hey, I just hear it and I do it, but it's almost a direct quote from Predator 2. So, but this love for Adam Sandler, I guess, is not going to last, right? Because I had to pick Pixels for next week.
You did. You had to punish me by picking
I would
Pixels, a
say,
movie that I'd
you
seen
know that,
before.
yeah, you know that phrase where it's like 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this toothbrush. It seems I'm like, it seems like 9 out of 10 people don't recommend this movie, and I'm that one dude that does. So I don't know what that
Which is
means, but
inexplicable to me, and we will get into that. I mean, Pixels is so charming and so much fun, and literally, Pixels to me is the complete opposite.
it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, we'll talk about it next week. It's stupid, it's dumb, and yet I keep watching it and just popping for the JFK line every time. So,
All right, so that just about does it for our conversation on The Wedding Singer, which is a really good Adam Sandler movie. It is a high recommendation. I would say, even if you're not a huge Adam Sandler fan, like this is definitely one you want to watch. Like in terms of comedies, especially, like it's really easy, I think, for people to say Punch Drunk Love's a really good movie, but like this, in terms of this comedy, this is top tier. Absolutely. For Brian, I'm Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again next week.